If you've seen almost any long-running shonen anime, then you're probably pretty familiar with filler. You may even be of the opinion that filler has ruined some of the greats. I am not here to question that opinion because, truthfully, if you look at the 40% filler capacity that Naruto Shippuden has, I think it's fairly obvious. But what if that number was a lot smaller? Like 10%? Could filler then be considered inconsequential? Or even perhaps good? In order to really find out, I decided to see what exactly filler was bringing to the table. I did some brief searching around on what exactly people thought was the worst filler for Naruto. A lot of answers came up around individual episodes, something like the Ninja Ostrich. I didn't need to watch that, I feel like I got everything I needed to know from concept alone. What I was more interested in were long-term arcs. Things where story really got to be explored with both highs and lows. Something to experience character development and plot progression. Luckily for me, there were approximately 50 episodes of Infinite Tsukuyomi crap to pull from, with my lucky winner being the dreams of the 5th Hokage, Tsunade. The exact nature of filler takes plenty of forms, of which I will be examining many. For this video, our focus will be the alternate universe. If you haven't seen the Loser Ninja arc, which I assume most of you haven't, then I'll give you a brief description. In the paradise that is Infinite Tsukuyomi, Tsunade dreams of one thing: to read the newest novel by a fallen comrade, Jiraiya. This novel is where our story takes place. An alternate universe within an alternate universe, if you may. We follow the same main character, that is Naruto, but in this story, both Minato and Kushina live, having successfully split the Nine Tails between mother and son. On the flip side of that coin is Sasuke Uchiha, whose clan also lives, as Minato's existence was enough to maintain peace between them and the village. It's in this very first episode that we find ourselves within the pitfalls most AU seem to grovel in. Allow me to break down two specific moments that I feel highlight the AU problem. First, in the span of a couple minutes within the first episode, Sasuke has become so unnecessarily agitated with Naruto that he's decided it appropriate to bust out the Lion's Barrage on him. If you don't remember Lion's Barrage, well, that's fair. It was a technique abandoned pretty early on when we got some cooler jutsus to work with, but its first appearance was actually kinda cool. It takes us all the way back to the Chunin exams when we first met this guy right here. Put yourself back in the shoes of watching Naruto for the first time. Forget Rasen Shuriken, or hell even Rasengan. Remember when a level 1 Sharingan was the fucking highest of tiers. Remember Kakashi in a 30-minute montage matching hand signs to Zabuza, and remember just how powerful Sasuke and Naruto seemed to be. Sure, they were just genin, but we knew that these guys were the cream of the crop. Then comes this goofy motherfucker right here, Rock Lee, with his dumb bowl cut and massive eyebrows. He comes in trying to smack on Sakura and challenging Sasuke to do it. In a quick manner, he demolishes and humiliates Naruto, then stumps Sasuke with a manner of fighting he could have never predicted. The Sharingan could give Sasuke an advantage against ninjutsu, but Rock Lee had no ninjutsu. He only had his hands and legs, and he used those hands and legs to demonstrate a new technique, one that would clearly secure his victory, only to be interrupted by his teacher. That is the first hint at a move called Primary Lotus, which would be realized 10 episodes later as Rock Lee saves the day against a group of Sound Ninja in the Forest of Death. Again, up showing Sasuke, who at the moment was unconscious. One interesting aspect to this encounter is that despite how powerful Rock Lee seems to be, having just styled on our two main characters, he still loses. Let's fast forward again, this time to the preliminary matches. Sasuke, marked by Orochimaru, is up against another Sound Ninja. Now, this fight goes really poorly for Sasuke at first. This ninja, working under Orochimaru, has the ability to absorb another ninja's chakra. The aim being to force Sasuke to tap into Orochimaru's curse mark. And it seems to work fairly well, as even during Sasuke's counterattack, we see the curse mark slowly overtake half of his body. We're going to ignore the fact that for some reason Sasuke and this dude are able to remain airborne for literal minutes, because cooler than that is Sasuke's unveiling of his new ability. A copycat of the aforementioned Primary Lotus, much to the shock of everyone watching. Despite little to no practice, no mentorship, and having only seen it in action once or twice, he is able to adapt the jutsu to his own workings and succeed where Rock Lee failed. Meanwhile, running in parallel to this external battle between Sasuke and the Sound Ninja is an internal battle of willpower of Sasuke versus the curse mark, as he desperately tries to fight off needing to use it. Then, in a crescendo of victory, we see both battles, internal and external, peak to a climax as he forces the curse mark back to its dormant state and uses the Lion's Barrage to win his fight and beat the Sound Ninja. Conversely, this is what happens in the filler anime. Naruto and Sasuke bicker. Naruto says something like, "Don't be mean to me unless your ninjutsu can beat mine." Then Sasuke says, "Fuck your dumb ninjutsu," then hits him with a Lion's Barrage. This is moment number 1. Moment number 2 is towards the end of the arc. There's a lot that happens between now and then, some of which I'll go back to, but a fair bit just standard filler crap that you don't really need me to explain. For some reason, somehow, we have gone through a time skip and are now facing the Akatsuki, namely Sasori of puppeteering fame. The first thing I want to point out is art and animation. I am not an expert on either of those, so allow me to present a montage of both the filler arc's presentation of Sasori and the original canon version. So there's that, but what I really want to focus on is the nature of the 100 puppet jutsu and when and how you should use it. The whole 1v100 man versus army, or hell even army versus army moments that seem to occur in so much media is a bit of a touchy subject. In some cases it is pure bliss. Watching a person fuck shit up can be cool, but what is the difference between that and a terrible CGI fuckfest of, let's say, the Hobbit movies? Well, sure, some of it's going to come down to visuals and presentation. It certainly helps that Sakura destroying puppets looked really nice, but also, at least in the case of Sakura, it's a bit of a moment of development. Emotionally and narratively, there isn't a lot of stake in watching Sakura destroy puppet after puppet. I mean, sure, in a very basic sense she needs to win and preferably not die in the process, but these guys are just faceless, bland fodder. There's not that strong emotional connection one might feel during, say, Obito versus Kakashi. Instead, this is a showcase of power. It works in the context of Sakura because this is a character that is nearly defined by her uselessness. In a team consisting of the Leaf's strongest Jonin and 2 highest potential genin, she consistently underperformed in comparison. As to where Sasuke had Sharingan and Chidori, Naruto had Shadow Clones and Rasengan, Sakura so far had nothing. They said she was a genjutsu expert, yet had literally never used genjutsu, and her one claim to fame was being able to run on a fucking tree faster than the other 2. In this context of constantly being looked down upon by us, the viewers, the showcase of her skills against the 100 puppets is a sign that says, hey, fuck you, watch this. It's to say that she is no longer the kitten standing behind a pack of lions, and it is probably her best fight in the entire series. Mostly because, well, she kinda devolves a bit back into the weak by comparison trap, but forget all that, in this moment, Sakura was a badass. There is nothing like that in the Sasori fight for the filler arc. The 100 puppets are just meaningless fodder for the ninja to break through. This is the problem with so many AU filler. They take moments that were cool, put them in a new setting, but forget all of the emotional context that made them what they were. They lack the buildup of why Lion's Barrage was a surprise to see, or why watching Sakura pummel waves of puppets was awesome, and instead just put up a maybe-er shinier version and say, hey, this was cool, right? It's not. But the title of this video says best and worst filler, and as such what made the Loser Ninja arc such a promising arc was its length. At 18 episodes, I had to know whether it could be consistently all bad. Surely there would at least be a moment here or there where something of value could be gained. And there was. After that first blunder of an episode, things steady out fairly well, and for a brief time I'd even say that it was kind of decent. But one thing in particular stood out to me as transcending that. From decent to, hey, that's pretty good. One of the benefits of an AU filler is the sort of lack of logic needed to make things happen, an easier level of suspending disbelief. For example, Ina Shikacho versus Konan, Nagato, and Yahiko. Why would these 2 teams fight? Who cares? I mean, there's kind of a reason, but it's a bit thin, and there's obviously a huge power difference, but it's an alternate universe, fuck it. And in that fuck it mentality, we get truly unique moments and matchups that could not happen canonically, like this very one. On one hand, we have Team Asuma, a team mentored by a person who lived under the code of children are the king, that the future generation must be protected at all costs as they would grow up to lead the world. These 3 are pit up against the 3 Rain Orphans, 3 children who were not protected, whose society failed and forced to fight in a war for their own survival. These 2 groups serve as excellent foils to each other, in a weird way mirroring what might have been. And hey, that's pretty good. All in all, The Loser Ninja is not a good arc, but it offers elements that if handled better could lead to a good arc. This is why I think filler is so interesting. While it so often fails us, it feels more like a failure in execution than in concept. That if it was handled better, and was motivated not in the idea of meaningless crap to, well, fill the schedule, but instead to tell interesting stories we otherwise couldn't, then that 40% might not be a big deal. In fact, the anime may be all the better for it. There was a fan edit of the series by the name of Naruto Kai which sought out to redo the entire show in the manga's image. It would cut all filler. In theory, this idea sounds great, but very notably we lost out on one scene as pointed out by the folks over at r/Naruto. This scene with Shikamaru playing shogi with his father. It takes place after the death of Asuma and showcases the emotional trouble that put Shikamaru through. This is a tear-jerking scene and one that exists exclusively in the anime. To brush off all filler as garbage based on a preconceived idea that if it's not in the manga it's bad would lead you to missing out on moments like this. Yes, few and far between, but existent nonetheless. But this is all just one arc, and that is just one moment. Surely, filler has things to bring to the table other than alternate universes and a quick scene here or there. This is part 1 of I don't know how many within a series of examining and analyzing Naruto filler. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Subscribe to catch part 2 and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/KatoYT. Join the likes of Lirpa Enuj, Wadzanai Mufunde, Spencer IRuleAtGames, H2 Mass, the Hunter x Hunter 2011 Dick Writing Association, Gage Lambert, Tempest Nyx, Paige Mulder, Dojee, and DannyDaDonkey. Thank you for all the support. I'm Hoodie, this is Kato, and we will see you soon.